Alrighty, so right now we're going to touch on a few different ways on how you can clean up an image. In this case, I went over this a little bit in the basics video, but we're going to try to clean up some of these blemishes or discrepancies or chips in the color. You could also view this like if you're somebody who has a lot of freckles or blemishes or acne, this is another way that you could go about that. So I'm going to use this Buddha image here, photo that I took in my apartment, for a few different lessons. So let's get into how we clean it up. So I'm going to come over and use the spot healing brush. Now what this does is just going to heal and cover up blemishes. It's really, really simple. I use this a lot, cleaning up, whether it be photos of clothing that have like dust or dirt or fuzz on them. I'll use this tool to come in and do that. Or, you know, I know in the past I'm guilty of it, you know, photos that where when I used to have a lot of acne, that went away after I cleared up and stopped eating a lot of dairy. But you can see, you know, you can really come in and just it magically gets rid of this stuff just by clicking. Now you could always like kind of click and drag, but sometimes that creates some weird like blending or weird effects. But in this case, it's not too bad. And if you do make a mistake, just, you know, Command Z, get rid of it. And you can always make the brush bigger or smaller by holding down the left or right brackets. So if I just like do that, it like gets rid of it completely, which looks really weird. So yeah, spot healing brush, really, really easy and simple way to get rid of any blemishes, scratches, fuzzies, any kind of stuff like that. Chips and paint. Oops, see, that looks kind of weird, so I'm gonna not do that. So yeah, really simple, easy way to get rid of any blemishes is the spot healing brush, because it literally is right in the name, it heals any spots. So there you go. So another way that I use the spot healing brush to clean images up, this is something I do fairly often. So just cleaning up, because if I wanted to take this photo and put it on Instagram, that's gross. There's little bits of fuzz and dust, and again, I exaggerated this by sprinkling stuff on the shirt, but just to give you an idea of how you can do that. So you just come in and just start clicking, and it just magically gets rid of stuff. I use this tool almost every time I'm getting ready to post a photo of, you know, a t-shirt or somebody wearing a t-shirt or a hat or any kind of, you know, clothing or apparel that I design for Onwards. I usually almost always come into Photoshop and clean it up a little bit, whether there's like hair or fuzz or dirt or dust. I primarily use this tool for the same kind of things. And there you go. It's that simple. And then I can go ahead and post this on Instagram and I got a nice crispy clean shirt. Versus, here, let's go back up to the top. Yeah, you can see the difference. It's like incredible. So that's just another way you can use the spot healing brush to clean up an image. Okay, another tool that you can use to clean up images is the clone stamp tool. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come up, so I have it selected, and basically how the clone stamp works is you quote unquote clone a certain area, and then when you use the brush to like, I'll use the term paint over. So in this case, I want to get rid of this crease line right in the wall here. So what I'm going to do is I have the clone stamp tool selected, and you see when I hold option, the cursor and the brush changes to something like this. Basically what's going to happen is when you click just one time and then you let go, you can see when I click and drag that little crosshair, it's basically cloning that area that I had selected and translating it to where I'm painting. So I'm just going to click and drag, and that line you can see is just disappearing. And you can see as I hover over the leaves, because that white crosshair is over the leaves, it's going to clone it. So I'm going to come back, clone another area, and hopefully, yeah, there we go. So you can see that's another way to kind of clean up any images, is using the clone stamp tool. But basically just hold option and click, and wherever you click is where the brush head will clone. You can see it follows it around, and it's a good way to blend things together, get rid of any lines. Or here's the last way I'll show you how to use Photoshop to clean up any images using the spot healing tool, brush tool, and the clone stamp tool. So there's a few ways you can go about this. Right off the bat, this is a perfect example of something an image I would need to bring into Photoshop. Cut. Okay. Okay, so this is the last way I'll show you how to use Photoshop to clean up any images that you may want to post on your website or on Instagram or what have you. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and use a spot healing brush to clean up all these little specks in the t-shirt itself. Now, as an artist, as a designer, as a creative, you're going to see things in your work that other people probably will never see. And that's okay. You know, when you recognize those and you go ahead and fix them, you have more pride in your work. So, okay, already the t-shirt looks way better. Now, what I'm gonna go ahead and do next is I'm gonna get rid of this cross in her earring because I think it's like kind of a distraction. It's kind of taking the eye right to the earring. So there's a few ways to do this. You can just straight up go ahead and use the spot healing brush if you want and just paint over it, click and hold and just paint directly over it. And that'll get rid of it, but then you have kind of this break in the earring itself. So let's try that again. Sometimes you get like these weird lines. That's one way to do it, but I'm not crazy about that. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is let's try the clone stamp tool. I'm gonna clone this part of her hair. Let me actually make this smaller. Hold Option, click to clone it, and then just click and drag. Maybe click over here to get some of her highlights. Yeah, there you go. And then if I want to be really picky and I want to get rid of the rest of this ring, I could always use the spot healing brush, but then that gets rid of this part of the earring. So again, I'm gonna leave that because honestly, when you think about it, guys, Photoshop and photo manipulation, you're just manipulating pixels. If you zoom in enough, these are just pixels of color. So what I can do here is if I click the letter I, brings up the eyedropper tool, so it'll select any color I click. I'll get this like brass color, and then I'll click B for the brush tool, and then I could just kind of come in and paint that in, because it's just, you're manipulating pixels. That's really all you're doing. I actually don't like that. Try to get that angle right. And then what you can do is go back to the brush healing tool. Maybe try to blend that together a little bit. Whatever. Not crazy about it, because honestly it doesn't really matter that much, because you're going to zoom out and you can barely tell what's even going on in the earring. As long as you understand that you can use these tools to clean up and manipulate the photos any way you want. You know, that cross, you would have never known that was there if I didn't tell you. Now I always try to clean up anything else I see, whether it be like in the face or any like freckles or weird spots. So I'm gonna be a good friend here and just like use the spot healing brush to get this little weird white thing off her lip, and then like maybe get the little eyebrows going, maybe this little beauty mark gone, you know, some freckles in the neck. These aren't necessary, but it's just another way you can use the tool. So okay, now that's looking good. Now it's like ready to be posted. All I would do is probably take it into like another app and edit, you know, the colors. You could always do that in Photoshop as well. But I usually like to use Lightroom. If you just kind of come into, there's a few different functions you can use, options you can use, tools you can use to change the colors. I'm not going to get super deep into it, but I'd probably, before I post this, go into Lightroom or another app on like my phone maybe and edit the colors, make it a little sharper, make it cleaner. And then it's ready to get posted on my website or Instagram, whatever you may have it. So there it goes, guys. That's another way to clean up an image.